various pastimes. And when they came to uh, the Panchavati, there they met Grudradhipa Samsevita Rama. Grudradhipa, that is Jatayu. Jatayu met them and Jatayu welcomed them. He was a vulture, but he had a paternal attitude. He had a attitude like a parent, and he welcomed them to his forest. Some say with Rama, he served them. And then, while they were living there, at that time, one day, Sita was just in the hermitage around it, and suddenly she called Ram, Ram, come here, come here. And Lord Ram came there. And he said, you see how beautiful this deer is. And Lord Ram came there along with that. Lakshman also came and he was standing from behind and they're looking. This was an incredible sight. It looked like a deer that was so magical. And as they're watching, generally, wherever we go, there's something striking, something attractive. It catches our attention and we look at it. They're beholding it. And then Sita said, oh Ram, can you get that deer for me? That you can have it as a pet. And then when we go back from the forest to the kingdom, we will give this deer as a memento of our forest stay to Mother Kaushalya. So now her desire itself, there's nothing wrong in that desire. She wanted a desire, she wanted a deer. And okay, while she was there, it was such an attractive deer, she could have that as a pet. And after that, she would give it to Kaushalya. So it was, even in that time, she was not just thinking of her own pleasure. She was thinking, we'll be going back to the kingdom and we'll be being with our loved ones, like to offer them some gift. So her thoughts were, we cannot call them as selfish. Her desire was not selfish. Even when she's in the forest, and in the forest, they are paupers. They have no wealth. But even then, she's thinking of giving a gift to her mother-in-law. And now she expresses this desire, and Ram is looking at her lovingly. And Lakshman intervenes. He says, I don't think that's actual deer. I think it's sometimes in English we say this, something is too good to be true. If something is too good to be true, then it is quite likely that it is not true. Somebody says you invest £1 and you will get 1 million pounds in return. Somebody has an investment scheme like that, that's likely to be a Ponzi scheme. It's too good to be true. You see this deer? A deer is a literally harmless creature. And as a harmless creature, other creatures don't run away from it. But here you see around this deer, there is no other creature. The deer moves in one direction, the birds from even the tree fly away. Something suspicious about it. So Sita said, oh, Lakshman, why are you so suspicious? It's just a sweet, beautiful deer. Oh, Ram, can you please get it for me? Lord Ram, he thought that Sita has done so much for me. She sacrificed the whole kingdom to be with me in the forest. She didn't have to come. Not only did she come, she insisted that she come with me. And she's practically never asked me for anything. And this one small thing she's asking for me. How is it? Close. Sorry. So how, what is it? Close it, close it. So, sorry about that. So, she's never asked me for anything. And now if she's asked, how I said, okay, I'll go and get this. And he acknowledged that Lakshman was a little suspicious. And he said, Lakshman, you stay here and you take care of Sita. You guard her. Now we could say, was Lord Ram's desire wrong? At one level, we can say Lord Ram is God. He can never be wrong. But another level, we can say that, okay, his desire of love. She has done so much for me. Let me reciprocate. So then, day, Lord Ram went away. As started chasing the deer. Now he went with his bow and arrow because in the forest, they always have to be prepared. They might go to chase a deer, but a tiger might attack, a demon might attack from. He went for he didn't want to shoot because he wanted for his consort. So he started chasing, and the deer started running away. And Lord Ram kept moving forward, and he kept running away. Kept moving forward, kept running away. And Lord Ram had running faster. They ran faster. Then he almost closed in on the deer, and he was about to just grab it by its tail and jump into the air. And sleep, unlike any deer, has landed far away. Lord Ram was taken aback, surprised. He started becoming suspicious. How could this deer jump like this? Then he started chasing it again. And then again he closed in, and suddenly the deer jumped off. It almost appeared as if it disappeared and it reappeared somewhere. And then after the deer looked back at him, and it was almost Lord Ram felt that the deer was mocking him. He was looking at him and almost like laughing at him. And then his suspicion started increasing. Now the deer was dear to Sita. So my dear, thought Sita is saying this. I want this deer. So he didn't want to kill it. Let me give it chase further. As he was chasing it, he was going further and further and further into the forest. And finally, he closed in and just left to catch the deer. Now, he was sure to catch it, but at that moment, deer just pounded off, lifted to the sky and went. That time, Lord Ram decided, enough is enough. This cannot be a real deer. No deer can jump like this. No deer can elude me like this. He said, this must be, like Lakshman said, Lakshman is right. This must be some demon who has come in the garb of a deer. And Lord Ram took his bow and he fixed an arrow on it and shot it. And he thought about it and he did it so fast that deer, when he saw Lord Ram fixing an arrow, tried to leap into the sky and disappear. But Lord Ram is known as Gesharam. His arrows never met that target. The arrow never hit. And as what happened was, the immediately formed or whenever all change form. It's just like, suppose we can impersonate somebody's voice. We can speak like a man can speak like a woman can speak like a man, somebody can mimic a politician. We can mimic the other person, but if suddenly we are hurt, then say if somebody suddenly pierces us with a needle or a thorn or a knife, we may scream, and then when we speak, we'll speak in our own voice. Because at that time, our energy gets focused on protecting our. But when Krishna started suckling her breast and then started sucking her life, got back her, she went back into her original hideous with this particular deer, it was Maricha, called out in a voice that exactly remembered Lakshman. Demon imitated Ram. Ram became not just, he was concerned, he was angered initially. Who is this creature tricking me? But now he became alarmed. This is some conspiracy. By calling Lakshman, they tried to get Lakshman away. So he hoped that Lakshman would not leave. He charged up to the deer to make sure that the deer was dead. And he shook the deer. He found that the deer actually died. That was the last word the deer spoke. And then he died. And Lord Ram turned around and started racing back. Now, I was giving this class in Canada. And one person asked a question. With Lord Ram, he's God. He could have screamed from there itself and said, that was not me. That was this demon impersonating as we. The whole problem could have been solved. So why did Lord Ram not do that? So I told that if we start going that way, Lord Ram is God, is omniscient. Could write down in the beginning, I said, yeah, Lakshman is right. That's a demon. And there only he could have shot it and the demon's original form would have come out. Could have been revealed. So why did he do that? See, when the Lord comes to this world, he performs Leela. And Lord Ram is performing Nara Leela. Nara Leela means he's acting as a human being. Nara Leela Kaivalyam, the Vedanta Sutra says. So what that means is that the ultimate reality descends to this world. And when the Lord descends to the world, generally he acts according to the norms of the world. He doesn't always exhibit his omnipotence, his divinity. So within the hierarchy of beings, humans are in between, the devatas are above, the rakshasas are below. But this is in a moral hierarchy. That means morally, in terms of following dharma, the devatas are better than human beings and humans are better than rakshasas. However, in terms of physical prowess, the humans are actually lesser than devatas and lesser than rakshasas also. And because of that, this demon's voice was far, far louder than Ram's voice. And that's why, because Ram is a human being, this demon is a Rakshasa. Maricha is a Rakshasa. So Lord Ram just raced back. Here, in the hermitage where they were staying, Sita heard this voice. Sita's anxiety had already got a feverish pitch. Part of her was also feeling guilty. Although she had dismissed Lakshman's suspicion, oh, Lakshman, you're too suspicious. This is suspicious. But when she found that Ram had gone for so long and Ram had not come back, she also started getting worried. It's just like, say, if we tell someone in our family, can you please go, in our family, we tell someone, can you please go and buy that from that nearby grocery shop? And we know that a storm is going to come soon. And you say, okay, the storm is going to come after 2 hours. You can just go and buy it. We need it. It would be nice if you can get it now. And they go. And we expect it to come back in 10 minutes. They don't come back in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. And we hear that the storm is coming before. So 2 hours is coming in 1 hour. And then the storm begins and they are not yet back. Then it's fear for their well-being is there. But along with that, guilt that I send them out there. Did I send them into danger? It's also there. So there was a storm of emotions in Sita. Fear for Lord Ram's well-being and guilt. She had sent him. Oh, I wanted the deer, and for that I sent Ram into danger. Is there some real danger? And as Ram was not coming, so Lakshman's words are also going on and on in her head. A demon. And when she heard Lakshman, she turned to Lakshman, go, you're another need. Her anxiety became immense. And Lakshman seemed really disturbed by it. Lakshman said, that is not Ram. That is a demon. Sita said, you think I don't know the voice of my husband? That is Ram. No, it is not. Yes, some demon impersonating us. How can you know that? I know Ram's prowess. He can never be in danger. But what if he is in danger? No, he cannot be in any danger. Now Lakshman was trying to calm Sita down. And Lakshman was also paying attention that if there is some conspiracy, as he suspected very strongly, he thought somebody might come and attack. So on one side, he was trying to calm Sita down. On the other side, he also didn't want to be caught off guard. He was watching in all directions. Is anybody attacking from any side? So as he was watching, the effect on Sita was the opposite. Sometimes we are disturbed by something and we tell it to someone, and that person tries to calm us down. That's why that person shows completely no sign of being disturbed. But what happens by that is, first we are disturbed and we tell it to someone, and when that person is not disturbed, we feel even more disturbed. Why are you not disturbed about something so disturbing? So Sita's agitation became even more. And in her frenzy of agitation, just had to somehow or the other get Lakshman to go. She started thinking, why is Lakshman not going? She herself, in her anxiety, in her tension, somehow she started to use her intelligence to understand, if Ram is in danger, why would Lakshman not go? So Lakshman told her, you could be in danger over here. I cannot leave you and go. That's what Ram has told me. Yes. But Ram didn't, he would not have anticipated that he would be in danger. What if he's in danger right now? Please go. I cannot leave you and go. So the Sita's anxiety and guilt increased further. I sent Ram into danger, and for my protection, Lakshman is not even going to help Ram who is in danger. Then she spoke some words which she had never thought of before also. But somehow she spoke those words. She says, I understand. I know why you are not going. Right from the beginning, you had an evil eye on me. Evil eye for me. You were waiting for an opportunity when Ram would die, and then you would have me for yourself. But know that your evil desire will never be fulfilled. I would rather die than be touched by any other man. And your desire will never be fulfilled. And Lakshmana heard these words, was devastated. It always venerated Sita like a mother figure. Says, oh Sita, you know what you are saying. Don't speak such words. You will never be able to have me. All that, I will rather die. She was still slinging harsh words. Now her intent was, she was so filled with anxiety, he somehow wanted Lakshman to. Lakshman said, I cannot be with you in this way. I fear if I go now. If I come back, there'll be a disaster that may have happened over here. So I cannot stay here with you speaking such words. Then Lakshman left. Now here, was Sita wrong in speaking such words? We can say she was wrong. But at the same time, even if her action is not acceptable, her words are not acceptable, her actions, as the sense of speaking words, are not acceptable, still her emotions are understandable. What she was going through and what she thought and what she did at that time. So then when Lakshman went away, now was Lakshman wrong in going away? That's what Ram told him. Lakshman charged into the forest and he went deep into the forest. And then suddenly he heard somebody charging in from the other side. He raised his bow ready to fight. And then he saw, to his great relief, it was Ram. He felt relieved to see that Ram was well and safe. Ram became extremely agitated to see him. Why are you here? Where is Sita? What has happened to her? Lakshman tried to explain to Ram what had happened, what Sita had spoken, and why he had left her. He couldn't even bring those words to his mouth. But he had to, because he had to explain why he had not followed Ram's instruction of being by Sita's side. And although he spoke from a place of feeling very hurt, Ram paid no attention to this. She was just caught in sentiment. Why did you take her sentimental words so seriously? Let's go back. Ram started charging back and Lakshman followed. They raced back to they came to the hermitage, but there was no Sita over there. They looked and saw that there are signs of, not much signs of a struggle also. They saw there's not much signs of blood. At least Sita had not been killed, and that Sita had not been wounded. Saw a little bit footprints of some other being, some other person was there. Now, in the Valmiki Ramayana, there is no reference to the Lakshman Rekha. Now, if we consider later on, so even when if we Lakshman told her, don't come out. So when Rama saw the sage, she offered her respects to him outside, and my husband and my brother-in-law will come and they will serve you soon. Serve you some food. So the sage said, I'm very hungry, I need food right now. She says, please wait, my husband will come soon. And at that time, Ravan in the fountain says, I'm hungry, why are you keeping me waiting like this? Do you not fear the curse of a sage? Do you want your whole family and your dynasty to be destroyed by the curse of a sage? So Sita started thinking that I certainly don't want. When she came out of the Lakshman Rekha, it was not because she was foolish. It was not because she was reckless. It was actually, again, she was concerned for her family's well-being. She didn't want to anger a sage. And she came out. And then Ravan abducted her. And she started screaming for help. She's hoping Rama Lakshman might be nearby. But no one was there. And then she saw Jatayu. And she saw Jatayu, she was Shatra, and she immediately realized Jatayu is no match to Ravan. It's too powerful. So she called out to Jatayu, oh Jatayu, please inform Ram that I have been abducted. And please don't try to stop Ravan. Jatayu could not live with himself. This was like his daughter. How could he let his daughter get abducted and not do anything? Yes, he tried to stop Ravan by chastising him. He said, now, why have you come like a coward over here? Now, what you're doing is adharmic. If you want Sita, fight with Ram and take her. Ravan was not interested in any lecture on dharma or morality. Then Jatayu challenged him to a fight. Ravan thought, who is this pesky vulture? I don't have to pay any attention to him. He just kept moving ahead. But Jatayu attacked. And Jatayu caught him by his hair and just dragged him around. Ravan was surprisingly shocked and enraged. He took out his sword and tried to swipe at Jatayu. Jatayu dodged it and went away. Jatayu fought heroically, but Ravan fought dirty. Now, fought dirty means what? Ravan Jatayu kept attacking him, and Ravan kept dodging the blows. Jatayu, with his Herculean effort, smashed the chariot and the charioteer of Ravan, and Ravan had to descend to the ground. And this was itself a stunning victory for Jatayu. But when things go wrong, even something good turns to becoming the cause of something bad. So actually, when Ravan came to the ground, that became, while it was a victory for Jatayu, that became a disadvantage for him. Because now Jatayu had to come from above, fly down to attack Ravan, and then fly up again. And Ravan was just sitting in one place. So Jatayu kept coming down, going up, kept coming down, going up. And each time he was going up, it was requiring energy, he was getting exhausted. And he would swoop down, and Ravan would just dodge. Ravan was a warrior, and he was wicked, but he was shrewd. He couldn't realize Jatayu is strong, but Jatayu is old. He'll get tired soon. So whenever Jatayu would attack, Ravan would just dodge the attack. And he was waiting and watching. And each time going up was becoming more and more difficult for Jatayu. And then finally, Ravan saw his opportunity. He dodged Jatayu when he came down. And as Jatayu was going around, he swung around and slashed with his sword. Jatayu's wings got lopped off. Jatayu trembled in flight, still tried to somehow keep flying upwards. And Ravan charged forward and lopped off his other wings. Jatayu collapsed to the ground. Now, I started thinking, this Jatayu's death is on me. Why did Jatayu not listen to me? Why did he have to fight? She tried to go and comfort Jatayu, but Ravan grabbed her and flew away. When things start going wrong, it is not just one thing. Sometimes one after another, just things start going wrong and wrong. And later on, when we try to do a post-mortem, when we try to find out where exactly something went wrong, it's extremely difficult to decide. Was this decision wrong? Was this decision wrong? Which decision was exactly wrong? So, God forbid for us in our lives, something like this should never happen. But for Sita, when it happened, she didn't know what was going to happen to her when she was taken by Ravan. Now, later on, she came to know that Ravan had a curse because of which he didn't try to force himself on her. But she didn't know that at that time. So her anxiety would have been feverish. At the same time, now, when something like this happens in our lives, sometimes it's very easy. Sita could have blamed herself, why did I ask? Why did I send this deer away? She could have blamed Lakshman. Why did he go away like that? Ram could have blamed Lakshman. Ram could have blamed Sita. But sometimes in this world, bad things just happen. And when we start thinking about why something bad has happened, sometimes it's possible to find out, okay, this decision was wrong. But sometimes it's very difficult to decide that this decision was wrong also. So when we blame others, that's bad. But when we start blaming ourselves, that's what is guilt. And yes, if we had made a mistake, it's good to acknowledge the mistake. It's good to learn and try to correct the mistake. But sometimes you can just start beating ourselves. Sometimes you can start beating others. And this is not healthy. So now we could say, if we look back at this incident, okay, Sita's desire, okay, it is not a terrible desire. But still, it is a normal, casual desire. You could say it's a selfless desire. Ram's desire, there is also a reciprocal desire to reciprocate Sita. So where exactly things went wrong? Lakshman, did he take Sita's words too seriously? Did Sita spoke indiscriminately? Yes, both of them. But both of them, what they did is also understandable in the situation. Now, why Sita spoke those words? She was concerned, desperately concerned for Ram's well-being. And she spoke it not because she suspected Lakshman really of any evil intention, but she just wanted Ram to be helped. Conversely, Lakshman, when he went away, he did not feel so much angry with Sita when he went away. It was, I can't hear this right. So when such things happen, what do we do at these times? The key principle is that we need to focus not so much on who did what wrong, but on what we can do to fix it. So I've just arrived. I'll just come in and we'll continue the class. Take out the Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Request all of you to sit down, settle down, please, quickly. It was so nice that you have, adjusted yourself so nicely, and we have been having such a good association with the great Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. The Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is known as the spiritual scientist. And Prabhu has been, of course, serving in this mission of Krishna consciousness for many decades. He has written more than 25 volumes of books, writing one blog on Gita daily, on a daily basis. On every single day, he's writing a wonderful message about Bhagavad Gita, and that is changing people's lives all over the world. And Prabhuji has been teaching the Krishna consciousness or the art of life in a wonderful way. Many businesses like Microsoft, Intel, and many other organizations. So it's coming from here. He goes himself, he gives them guidelines.
Let's take examples, and then we'll try to see when Sita's abduction happens, in which category it falls. Say, if we consider, first let's start with a practical example, then we'll go towards a more example from the epics. So suppose a doctor gives a prescription to a patient, and that particular medicine has some unexpected side effect, and the patient's condition worsens. Now, when the patient condition worsens, that is unfortunate. That is something which is not wanted. So now, if there are no papers published about this particular medicine having this kind of side effect, and is not known at all, and it happens, then where does this mistake fall? Is it out of is it a mistake out of intent, content, or consequence? Consequence, isn't it? So it's like there's an unknown side effect. Now, of course, there's some medicines such that their side effect is the main effect sometimes. Some medicines are like that. But so it's an unknown side effect. So you say doctor and medicine. So it is a mistake at the level of consequence. Now, suppose the doctor, while prescribing the medication, did not carefully go through the past history of the patient and did not read that, oh, this person has this particular case history, this medicine is contraindicated for this condition. The doctor overlooked that. The doctor forgot that. The doctor just didn't notice that. Then it would be a mistake of content. So if the doctor overlooked somehow, then it is a mistake of content. Now, which is much more serious? When it is content. Okay. Now, suppose that doctor is from one particular ethnic group and the patient is from another ethnic group, and this doctor doesn't like those people, and therefore now this person has come to treat me, I'll complicate this person. So deliberately the doctor prescribes something which aggravates the disease of the patient, or it may be out of hate, or it might just be because if the patient's disease becomes longer, they'll come to me more treatment, I'll make more money. Then if it is a deliberate misprescription, then it is out of intent. So there is a deliberate wrong prescription. So this is the most serious. So at a level of content also it's serious, but at a level of intent, it's the most serious. So now if we consider in the case of Sita, did anyone have a bad intent? If anyone is to be blamed, the primary blame has to be on Ravan. So Ravan's intent was bad. So we can look at intent. We put intent on a spectrum. We put intent on axis like this. So there is positive intent and there is negative intent. So the most negative intent was of Ravan. What about who else were involved in this? Who else had a negative intent? Okay, Shurpanakha is way far away. We can leave her right now. She's definitely there. But in this particular incident, Maricha was there. The Marich, was his intent bad? Yes, he was forced. He was forced. Ravan told him that, if you don't obey me, I'll kill you. So you could say he was forced, but then eventually he was killed. Now, some commentators say that he thought, better that I die at the hands of Ram than I die at the hands of Ravan. So if I die at the hands of Ram, I'll be elevated. If I die at the hands of a demon like Ravan, I don't know where I'll go. So now maybe that is a good calculation for his well-being. But he's actually hurting Ram, isn't it? He is perpetuating a scheme by which Sita will get abducted. So he's worried about at whose hands I will die. But he is not worried. It is for whose hands am I working? Then I am perpetuating a demoniac cause. So it's almost as if, see, the purpose of bhakti is to serve God. But he is simply using God as a means for getting a better destination, even when he's working against God. So definitely, Maricha had a negative intent. Now, among the three characters, Ram, Lakshman, Sita, did anyone have bad intent? No. Everyone's intent, if we consider, now I'm putting them three not in line because anyone's intent was less noble, but just to interest that Lakshman was protective when he said, okay, this might be somebody who is a demon, he was suspicious, he was protective. Ram simply wanted to reciprocate with Sita. Sita also just wanted to have some nice recreation while she was in the forest, and she wanted to give a gift, nice gift to her mother-in-law. So nobody's intent was terrible. So generally speaking, the world is such a place that there will be problems that will come. And problems when they come, and somebody might make a bad judgment call. But what happens is, when their problems come, if somebody has just made a mistaken judgment, and then we go and ascribe bad intent to it, then that breaks the relationship. That ruins, okay, I made a mistake. But if you start saying, because I wanted this to happen, so I did it. What is happening is, there are, generally speaking, whenever when a person is there, person is playing some role, there is the competence of the person and there is the character of a person. So now mistakes can happen because of both. So now if somebody criticizes us for our that we are incompetent, we feel bad. But among the two, which criticism will hurt us the more? Criticism for competence or criticism for character? Character is much more. Suppose, say, we invest some money and somewhere and we lose the money. I'm saying you should have been careful. You should have thought more carefully. You should investigate a little bit more. Why did you invest so much money? It's a criticism of competence. And okay, you invested that money because that person gave you some private kickback. So all our money is gone, but you got some money of that in your own bank account. You think I would do that to our own family? That is an attack on the character. So quite often, when we don't like someone, everybody commits mistakes, but when we don't like someone, we directly jump to their intent. They say your intent was bad. And when we like someone, what happens is we try to give them as much benefit of the doubt as possible. See, if we have made a finite quantity of sal, and somebody eats way too much, and then for everyone else it is less. Then, if we don't like that person, we say, what's glutton? बकासुर का कुंभकर्ण का अवतार आ गया. So, we'll speak. But on the other hand, if we like that person, oh, he must have been hungry. Maybe he didn't know that the prasad was limited. So, what we'll do is we'll give the person the benefit of the doubt. So, quite often, when we make judgments, we don't make judgments based on the situation only. We base there is when we make judgments about who is wrong. Who is wrong? It is not just based on the situation. It is the present situation, but it is also based on our past conception of the person. Ram, was the action wrong? You can say no. Was Lakshman's action wrong? Well, you can say, yeah, Ram had told him don't go, but still he went. Lakshman's action is slightly wrong. Now, what about Sita's action? She spoke harsh words. It was a terrible accusation to make against someone who had left his own family to be with them to serve. So you could say that was a wrong action. But still, it did not come from a bad place. And the important thing is that sometimes in difficult situations, even good people may sometimes do some not so good things. So we need to have a sense of perspective. Perspective means what? How big is this and how small is this? So when Lakshman came back with Ram and saw that Sita had disappeared, that Sita was no longer there, did Lakshman say, she spoke like this to me, serves her right, whatever happened, that's what it should have happened to her. He never spoke, he never thought like that also. And not even after they met again, when Ravan had been defeated and killed, and there was a reunion. Lakshman did say, okay, you remember what you spoke? When are you going to apologize? There's no record of that. Why? Because it is best to don't see intention in what is spoken in tension. Don't see intention in what is spoken in tension. So sometimes even good people can speak terrible things when they are in a lot of tension. Of course, from the person's perspective, they should learn. These words can hurt very much. I should not speak like this. But sometimes when somebody will speak something, don't hold it against them for the rest of their life. If they didn't have any bad intent, how could you think like this about me? How could you spoken like this? Just forget it. Sometimes these things happen. So there is no evidence that Ram kept chastising Lakshman. Ram did tell him, Sita was just being sentimental. Why did you take it so serious? He spoke it at one time at that time when they met. But afterwards, when they found out Sita was, Ram did not turn at Lakshman. You fool, because of you this happened. Okay, he understood it. So basically, if we try to understand the situation, see, generally speaking, whenever there is a mistake, or rather there's a misjudgment, now what happens is the misjudgment could be completely unpredictable. Unpredictable means nobody can know what the consequence is going to be. So if it's a situation unpredictable, then we have, okay, it is a bad thing now it has happened. Somebody invested money, say in a stock which is considered normally reliable, and suddenly there's a global economic crash, and sometimes a big companies, banks which are 100 years old, they collapse. Because of you, we lost the money. And nobody could have predicted it. Sometimes it's unpredictable, then don't ever hold it against. It's not that I am here and you are there and you are the cause of my suffering. No, we are in this together. Now that this has happened, let us together see how we can deal with this problem. So if unpredictable means if the mistake has happened due to level of the consequence, due to at the level of consequence. So just forget and forgive. Don't even ever mention that. Because anybody can make a mistake like that in terms of consequence. Now, if the mistake was due to in terms of content, so it was now if at least it is understandable. It is okay. I understand why you did like this. It will be understandable yet unacceptable. Now, you should not have invested money like that. Why didn't talk with me? I didn't talk with a few other people. So we may not accept what they did, we may not agree, we may not appreciate, but at least we try to understand. Hey, what were you thinking when you did? We know hard feelings for too long. For a few moments, it might be there. For some time, it's a bad decision. If you could talk with me, we would not have done this. We would not have done this decision. So in this case, actually Ram and Lakshman could have blamed Ram. I told you that this was a demon. You should not have gone after him. Lakshman did not blame Ram. Ram did not blame Lakshman. Because sometimes judgment calls, they just happen, and sometimes we all can make judgment calls which later on they turn out to be terribly wrong. Now, if something turns out to be somebody turns out to be intentionally doing something wrong, and if now Ravan, there is a mistake. Okay, here when Ravan did something wrong, it was done in cold blood. It is a cold-blooded, calculated conspiracy that here. So this is action at the level of a consequence. Sorry, and it was okay. It's bad. Don't hold it. This is at the level of content. Now, when somebody does something wrong at the level of intent, they wanted something bad to happen. So at that time, we have to treat it as unforgivable. Now we can say nothing is unforgivable. That is true. But we cannot simply forget and forgive. At least that person should show some signs of reform. At least that person should show some signs of at least repenting, if not recording. I'm sorry I did this. And they don't just say sorry at the level of lips. I'm sorry. Forgiveness is a very important virtue. And we all could learn to be more forgiving. But forgiveness for wickedness. That is simply foolishness. Say, police are fighting with the terrorists. The terrorists have just killed 100 innocent people in a crowded stadium. And then the terrorist is about to shoot the police also. And the terrorists run out of gun. They find they run out of bullets. So I'm sorry. The police have a gun pointed at them. The police lower the gun. The terrorist just takes out a knife and slams it, slings it out of the police when the police dies. Somebody who's a cold-blooded killer, cannot forgive them. So there are times when somebody has done something intentionally wrong, then punishment has to be given. So that's why Kshatriyas, they can also forgive at times. But for Kshatriyas, forgiveness is a strategy. It is not a policy. The government cannot say, okay, if you rob a shop, you rob a bank, whatever anyone does, we'll forgive you. Actually, after the pandemic, California tried this. They actually made a rule that, in the pandemic, people didn't have jobs, people were in great difficulty. So they said something like, in different parts of the stores, like if you go to a shop and you shoplift anything less than, I believe some place of $500, some place $700, $750. If you shoplift anything less than $750, the police will not even arrest you. Now, when they did that, their idea was that actually, people are poor and people need food. But people would go to these shops and they would take Louis Vuitton purses just up to $650, or they would take some Apple devices just up below that price range, and then soon they'll be selling it on eBay or getting money out of it. So Forgiveness, it's important to understand this. See, forgiveness is good as an individual virtue. We all in our individual relationships can be forgiving, more forgiving. It is good. But it cannot be the default state policy. That would be disastrous. Say somebody has ill intent, then they cannot be forgiven. Now, of course, it may say, how do you know somebody has bad intent? Nobody who has bad intent, they think they have bad intent. Most people think I'm doing something good. But broadly speaking, they say, okay, after you did something, something terrible happened. So if somebody has done something wrong, broadly speaking, I'll make this last point, and then we'll conclude this discussion. See, wrongdoing has happened. Now, wrongdoing means it can be a mistake, it can be a misdeed, whatever it is. So, mistake is more accidental. Broadly speaking, after that, is there regret? Is there reform? Regret is more internal, reform is more external. So, after somebody has done something wrong, are they at least regretting it? So, for example, Duryodhan tried to poison Bhima. Now, did that succeed? Somehow Bhima survived. Now, did Duryodhan regret that? Bhima tried to burn all the Pandavas, even their mother alive. Now, okay, sometimes there are among Kshatriyas there is rivalry, and sometimes they might try to, in brothers, we try to kill each other. Kunti was like his mother figure. Kunti had never done anything to harm her. He even asked him to burn her alive. Now, did he regret that? Actually, in both cases, he regretted. He regretted that his plan was not successful. So, and what is the proof of this? He had no regret. Actually, his actions kept becoming worse and worse. The first was just kill one of them. Now kill all of them together. And third, after that, what was the third terrible thing that he did? He tried to have the gambling match and eventually tried to disrobe Draupadi. Now we may say, okay, as compared to burning someone alive, or 5 people, 6 people alive, maybe disrobing a one person is not so terrible. But no, it's not. It's horrible. But more importantly, it's not just the proportion of the crime. It is not just the proportion of the but somebody shows regret for doing something, and then when somebody keeps doing not only the same thing but worse things, then that is clearly intentional. And intentional mistakes should be punished. So now I'll make one last point with this, and then we will end the class. So when things happen, when bad things happen, we need to fix the things. And while fixing the things, we need to analyze, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? But the focus should always be forward. The focus should never be backward. What does this mean? Backward means sometimes our mind keeps replaying. Oh, if only I had not spoken this, If only I had not done that. If only this person had not done that. If only this person had not done that. So when we focus, or when we are trying to do like a debriefing, or we are trying to do a post-mortem analysis, what exactly happened? Now, debriefing is good to do, no doubt. But if the focus becomes backward, then what happens is it's like mental replays. Oh, this person did this. They just keep going on and on and on. And this is a terrible thing. We don't want this to happen. So, okay, we look at the past primarily to look better at the future. So nobody can actually get an exhaustive understanding of the past. Sometimes when some big problem comes up, it's very difficult to even actually know what exactly happened. Okay, this person says I did this, this person says I didn't do this, this person says I didn't do this. Sometimes when something bad has happened, you try to find out what happened. But there is my side of the story, and then there is your side of the story. There is my side of the story, there is your side of the story, and then there is the story. So sometimes it's very difficult to know what exactly happened. We should try as much as possible, but our focus should be forward looking. That means the past is a resource for the future. That, okay, what can I learn from my past so that I can make better decisions in the future? Otherwise, we can get caught in the past. If we get caught in the past, that's a terrible and terribly wasteful way to live. So this is the difference between overthinking and deep thinking. So when we are caught in the past, that's overthinking. So what is the result? What is the characteristic of overthinking? Our focus is only, I want to exactly understand what happened. This. Okay, you can try to repeat it once, twice, thrice to try to clearly understand. But when we keep replaying it again and again, there's nothing more to learn over here. The focus is backwards. So deep thinking is, okay, this happened, why did I do this? What was I thinking about? Let me try to go deeper. What was, oh, I was just foolish when I did this. No, okay, you were foolish. Maybe it's true. What was I thinking? There must have been some thought going on in my head. Some way I justified it to myself. Okay, this kind of justification I should not be using in future. So deep thinking, we can go deep. Focus should be on the future. So in general, if we look at this, that if we say clarity of thought versus time spent in thinking. Generally speaking, the more we think, the more clarity we get. Something happened and we don't even think about it. We won't learn anything from it. The more we think, the clarity increases. Actually, sorry, it has to be the other way around. This is how we make it. So this is clarity, and this is time. So what happens is, the more we think, the more clarity we get. But after some times, we hit a plateau. And then after that time, even if we think more and more, nothing further emerges. And after that, actually, we start getting more confused. So it is best if we can stop here itself. Okay, now I've got clarity, I'm thinking more and more, I'm getting nothing more out of it. But definitely, we need to stop here. Definitely, we need to stop at this point. So if my thinking is not clearing up things, if my thinking is only causing confusion, then just stop. And if, so generally speaking, this kind of thinking is in Sattva Guna. We think to gain clarity. But overthinking is a characteristic of Tamo Guna. Just keep replaying it again and again. If we practice bhakti nicely, the chanting the holy names, coming in satsang, doing our puja, then we'll overall be living in Sattva Guna. And then it is more likely that we'll be thinking deeply rather than thinking excessive. The characteristics of deep thinking will be we will get more clarity. Pravrittincha nivrittincha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha ya vetti buddhi sa partha satviki. So buddhi sa partha satviki. Satviki buddhi is where we get more and more clarity of what happened, what action went wrong, who was right, who was wrong. But intelligence, the mode of ignorance, we usually end up, we are thinking, but we end up blaming the wrong person. We end up doing the actions which make things worse. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrata sarvarthan viparitamsha buddhi sapartha tamasi. So when we blame somebody who is not really to be blamed, the intention was not bad, and maybe the judgment is also not that bad, but we just make that person into a criminal and we ruin the relationship. And sometimes we can do it to others, sometimes we can even do it to ourselves. So let's avoid this. So this is what Krishna talks about in 18.30. Intelligence in goodness. Sattva. And this is what he talks about in 1832. Intelligence in tamas. So we try to avoid this. And the response that Ram Lakshman did. Now, of course, Sita, what she did also, that could be a separate session, we should not go into now. But Sita also did not keep beating herself up. She tried to find out what can she do. No, when she was going along, she saw that there were some kindly looking beings and she dropped some ornaments over there. And that's how she left some clue for Ram that I'm alive. And this is the direction I have gone in. So she didn't keep beating herself up and feeling sorry for herself. She also did what she could do to fix the situation. That's how, from these characters, while they're all exalted characters, they are sacred characters, they are divine characters, and what they perform is a Leela, but there are also practical lessons that we can learn from the Leela. I'll summarize what we discussed today. Our topic was when things go wrong, with a focus on Sita's abduction. So I first described in detail Sita's abduction, the incident, and we discussed how, while a bad thing happened, actually no one's intent was bad and no one's judgment can be considered terrible, isn't it? Some judgment was mistaken, but it's understandable. If it is wrong, it was understandably wrong. Okay, I understand. Why did Sita speak like this? Why did Lakshman go? It's understandable. So then we discuss the criteria for deciding what is right and wrong. So what are the three criteria for deciding? Content of an action, intent, and consequence. So now, if we consider these three, we could say that at the level of consequence, it is the least serious. So if we stay at the level of content, what do you do? Just forget and forgive and move on with life. When it's at the level of content, then it is a little more serious. But here also, it is, you could say, learn and move on. Don't hold it against the other person. And here it is a level of intent, then it is most serious. So serious, in fact, that we can say forgiveness, at least uncritical forgiveness, that can simply be foolishness. So we saw here that Ram, Lakshman, Sita, that is Ram and Lakshman, externally they came closer to each other. They didn't blame each other, although they could have both blamed each other. And even Sita, she actually, although they were not closer, they emotionally, she came closer to Ram. Ram also was lamenting, was in agony in separation from Sita. They came closer to each other. And the last part I discussed was that when I'm trying to analyze who is right and who is wrong, our focus in debriefing Debriefing is, okay, let's go over and analyze what happens. So our focus in debriefing should be always forward. Okay, how can I fix the situation? Not backward. What exactly happened? We try to focus too much on what exactly happened. What may happen is we may get caught. So it's, if you consider clarity, time versus clarity, then what happens? We think some to some degree, we get clarity. After that, we plateau and then we start going down. So here it is deep thinking, seriously thinking for learning. And when it goes start going down, it becomes overthinking. So by looking at whether we are getting greater understanding or not, we can decide whether I should be thinking about this or not. I should just leave it and move on. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Do you have any time for questions? Yes. Yes, please. Just a couple of announcements that I'll make it before we leave. So in this month, we are celebrating the Bhadra Purnima, and this is a time when Srimad Bhagavatam is, it's very sacred to distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a 12 canto, 18 volume book, and Bhagavatam is considered non-different from Krishna. So it's a great opportunity to, if you don't have it, to bring Krishna into your home. Many traditions, Bhagavatam, people even do puja of Bhagavatam. And it's also a great blessing that you can give to your friends, your relatives, your acquaintances, that they can bring Krishna into their home in the form of these sacred books. You can even give gifts to your relatives in India also from here. So that is a sacred occasion, that is a sacred opportunity that is there very much in this month of Bhadra Purnima. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Also, I have written a couple of books. Do you have my book? Yeah. So much of what I spoke today is similar to what is spoken in my latest book, Living the Ramayana. That is about 9-10 incidents from the Ramayana analyzed, and life lessons are drawn from it, just like we do life lessons from this incident. So, and then there is this calendar with 366 quotes inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. So each quote is like a nugget of thought that you can contemplate on. Hold our plans lightly, hold our Lord tightly. Praying may not change what we are going through, but it will change how we are going through it. Having, so those who can't face books, seek shelter in Facebook. This is inspired by 1616 in the Bhagavad Gita. So like that, there are different quotes. So each of these is inspired by one verse. And if you Google it, it may take you to my website, Gita Daily, where there's an article explaining it. So both of these are available, and I'll also be here for answering questions or signing the books if you want. Thank you very much. So are there any questions or comments? We have a few minutes. Yes, please. You have a question for participants? Yes, ma'am. In a different way, but the conditioning always pushes us back to these past situations, and what we see our perception is also limited. So generally to deal with preconceptions, there are three things which you could do. First is pause. That when we know that I have a negative conception of this person, I have a negative attitude with this person, then it's quite likely that I will be jumping to a wrong conclusion. Just pause. When I feel angry with the person, I won't just immediately blurt out. Just pause. So what happens is, by pausing itself, sometimes that person may explain the situation, or somehow we get some more news, and that can help a lot. Then the second is that perspective. Perspective means that we try to gain more perspective by asking others. Especially if, say, I am here and this person is here, and I tend to dislike this person, and there is someone else who likes this person. Oh, I can't find anything likable in this person. Why do you like this so much? It's not in terms of attacking that person, but if you talk with this person, then we may get to see a completely different side of the person. So basically, we try to get alternative perspective. And it may not be possible to do it at that time, but generally, the number of people about whom we have negative conceptions are not too many. So if we are in a community, not in a judgmental, probing way, yes, we can ask, okay, what do you think about this person? How are your experiences with this person? Or we can just ask people generally, how are your experiences in this community or in this situation? And then what about this person? And people may tell. And then we may get a fresh perspective. And the third thing is basically try to have ourselves, we try to have purification. So what happens is we all have our conditionings, and the conditionings can be very strong. So when we start practicing bhakti, the purification starts happening. And then although those conditionings will come up, we'll find that they will not force us so much. The effect that they have on us, it won't be so forceful. So eventually purification is required. But till that time, we can try to pause and we can try to get additional perspectives. Thank you.
The consequences went wrong.
Which context are you talking
about? Kauravas were killed.
The Kauravas were killed in the Mahabharata. Okay.
Therefore, she thirsty. And how it happened? Because then Krishna killed intently, or in three categories where it's fitting. Krishna killing of the Kauravas.
Okay. So was Krishna's killing of the Kauravas intentional? Well, you can say it was intentional, but Krishna tried everything. Listen, Krishna himself went as a peace messenger, and he offered them just give them 5 villages. Now, what more could Krishna have done possibly? So now it is because of her own affection or attachment that she just still wanted to blame Krishna. So her cursing Krishna was actually misuse of her power. So how it happened was, it was like I said, in some cases, forgiveness is just foolishness.
Oh, Gandhari's curse happened, that means Dharma.
Okay. So if Gandhari's curse was a misuse of her power, then why did that curse come true? Okay, well, it is some people by their chastity or their purity or their austerity, they may get some powers. And if they get those powers, when they use those powers, because they have acquired their power by their past good karma, those powers will have effect. But that does not mean that their use of the power was right. Shringi was just short-tempered when he cursed Parikshit. It was a misuse of his power, but it had effect. So just because something has an effect does not mean that it was the right thing. Mm-hmm. So America used atom bomb against Japan, and that ended the Second World War. Now, was that a good thing? Well, you can say ending the World War, the Second World War was a good thing. But then many historians fiercely debate. It was quite like that Japan would have surrendered even without without the bombs being dropped. And at least maybe they could stop after dropping one bomb. Why they have to drop a second bomb? So you can say just because the war ended, that is a good result. But that doesn't mean the action was good. So the success of a particular activity does not prove the rightness of the activity. So it's like sometimes, in general, success requires good karma. Anybody to do anything successfully requires good karma. But the irony here is, it's like success in bad karma also requires good karma. So that means, say 50 people might decide to rob a bank. but only one person succeeds in robbing the bank. So why did that one person succeed, others would not? Because that one person had some past good karma by which they were going to be successful in their whatever activity they did. Now that they chose to do a bad activity like robbing a bank, that is a bad judgment on their part. That will lead to the future bad karma. But any success in this world requires a person to have some good karma in their karma life. So because Andhari had been so faithful to her husband, although he was blind and she was not. So because of her chastity, she acquired some mystical powers, and that's why her curse was successful. Now Krishna, as a part of his Leela, accepted that curse. Krishna didn't have to, but he accepted it. It did not prove that Krishna is guilty. Thank you. Yes, please.
Talking about getting clarity in solving the problem, about deep thinking and not overthinking. And when you reach the plateau, you try to resolve the thinking about moving forward. So when doing that, Prabhu, so basically while you're debriefing, it can be in a family, it can be when you're working with devotees, or it can be outside, in your idealistic world, at your work as well. There will be some group of people, they might understand, yes, we are moving forward, let's problem solve. But sometimes you also come across people, they just go back trying to justify what they have done. But you may have to work with them again and again. It can be devotee circle again. So how do you make them understand in a way that they understand, okay, let's move on from here?
Yeah, that's the human challenge. See, not everybody can move on in the same way. Okay, this mistake happened, let's move on now. Some people may just feel that that mistake is going to hurt their reputation. People are going to mistrust me. People are going to misunderstand me. That's why they go on a perpetual defensive mode. So that's why there is a difference uh, between disapproval versus disrespect. Sometimes we may disapprove an action, but we don't disrespect the person. So if people start feeling that I am being disrespected, then what will happen is they will, in their attempt to seek respect and gain respect, they will keep justifying themselves. But if I respect you as an individual. Now, we may not respect their judgment in the particular field, and that's okay. Functionally, not everybody is good in everything. Mm-hmm. So somebody made a bad investment, not just once, twice, thrice, say. Then we decided, please, you don't handle finances. But that is not a statement about your character, but that is a statement about your competence in this particular thing. And that a person has to accept. So what happens is disapproval can be about competence. But for most people, disrespect becomes a character issue. So when we basically are able to show respect to the person, then their need for defending themselves will decrease. But sometimes it doesn't happen, then we just have to move on with that. So if we have done our part in trying to address their concerns and then they're not doing it, then we can't take ownership of the problem. We can just try to help them and move on with it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So you mentioned the clarity and time and clarity. Sometimes it is a mode of goodness is thinking, a level of thinking, but sometimes a good mode of ignorance, sometimes not overthinking, even sometimes no thinking, because they have no regret. So this is the going on. And so where you put up, is there any mode of passion? Well, generally, I would say mode of passion, there's no thinking at all, just move on. So just forget it and move on completely. So what happens is people in the mode of passion, okay, this project didn't work, let's move to the next project. So such people quite often don't learn much. So they because they have that controlling mentality, they want to do a lot of things. So they won't get caught in the past, but they also won't learn from the past. So that is also not healthy. So it's like one is getting caught in the past. that is bad. But other side, just neglecting the past. That's also not bad. That's also not good. So I would say this is tamas, but just neglecting the past can be rajas. Actually, learning and then letting go of the past. When that attitude is there, that is sattva. Now, sometimes, now when I talk about the time also, that it's simplest, sometimes it can be a little simplistic. Sometimes maybe after an event has happened, it's too close for us to think. Maybe we don't even think about it because it's just too traumatizing, too agitating. We let some time pass, and after that we think about it. It depends on the situation. Sometimes we need to think immediately so that our memory is clear and we can recollect accurately. But sometimes the pain is so great and we just can't. Thinking will only agitate us. So we have to decide. The point is, we think enough to gain clarity. And we don't think so much that we get caught in it. So thank you very much. Should we talk one to one, if you don't mind? So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Gaura Premanande.
Please do take advantage of, taking this wonderful, the calendar which Prabhu has shared. And there is another book on Ramayana as well. So these are the books, Living the Ramayana, Applying Ancient Wisdom in Modern Times. And this calendar, it's very, very nice calendar actually. You can keep it on your table every day, take some inspiration at your workplace. If you're working from home, you'll take inspiration like that. Colleagues will also be inspired. Colleagues will also be inspired. Colleagues will be inspired as well. So please, you can take from Prabhu, you can get it signed. And we have a machine, you can pay by card as well. Or if you want to pay by cash, whatever is convenient with you, please do take advantage. Don't miss the opportunity. And at the same time, yeah.
Haribol devotee, now we're closing.
The calendar can go for £7. Ramayana can go for £5.
Thanks for joining.
So